The blast doors screamed open, and Captain Marcus Chin stepped into the holding cell, boots echoing against metal as 4 Zeleth guards leveled plasma rifles at his chest. The child in the corner didn't look up. She sat with her knees pulled tight, gray skin mottled with bruises, her 6 fingers trembling around a piece of broken pipe she'd fashioned into something resembling a doll. Marcus had seen war. He'd seen genocide, but the way she flinched when his shadow crossed her face made his stomach turn to ice. "You have 5 minutes, human," the lead guard hissed through his translator. His crest flared violet with contempt. "The Exarch wants her gone before the ceremony begins." Marcus knelt slowly, keeping his hands visible. The girl was maybe 8 in human years, though Zeleth aged differently. Her secondary eyes, the small ones above her temples, were sealed shut with infection. According to the file they'd given him, she'd been living in the station's waste reclamation sector for 3 months, alone. "My name is Marcus," he said quietly. "I'm here to take you somewhere safe." She didn't respond. Her primary eyes, brilliant gold despite everything, fixed on the wall behind him. "The orphanage on Kepler Station will... no orphanage." Her voice was barely a whisper, but it cut through the cell like a blade. "He said I was broken. He said I was useless." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. He'd read the report twice, not believing it the first time. Exarch Velthonus, one of the most powerful Zeleth nobles in the sector, had declared his own daughter defective and left her to die in the lower decks. The Zeleth prized strength, prized genetic perfection. A child born with sealed secondary eyes was considered cursed. "Your father was wrong," Marcus said. The guard behind him laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "The human speaks of things he doesn't understand. She is Krevner. Broken vessel. Even if you take her, she will die young. Her mind will fracture. This is mercy, human. Remember that when she screams in the night." Marcus stood slowly, turning to face the guard. He was a full head shorter than the Zeleth, but he'd learned long ago that size meant nothing when you understood leverage. "Touch your weapon's trigger and I'll file a diplomatic incident report that'll have your Exarch answering to the council before sunrise. We have an agreement. I'm taking her. Now step back." The guard's crest flared crimson, but he stepped aside. Marcus extended his hand to the girl. She stared at it like it might turn into a weapon. Finally, with movements so careful they broke his heart, she reached out. Her 6-fingered hand disappeared into his 5-fingered one. Her skin was cold. They walked through corridors lined with Zeleth nobles, preparing for the ceremony where Exarch Veltonus would formally announce his new heir, the daughter from his second bonding. The girl kept her head down, but Marcus watched them watching her. Some looked away in disgust, others showed pity. None showed recognition that they were looking at someone who'd once been destined to rule. On the transport shuttle, she finally spoke again. "Where are we going?" "Research Station Meridian," Marcus said, strapping her into the crash seat. It was too big for her. "Everything in the human sections would be too big. It's where I work. We study a lot of things. And we need help." She looked at him with those golden eyes. "I can't help. I'm broken." Marcus knelt again, meeting her gaze. "Tell me something. That doll you made from the pipe. Did anyone teach you to do that?" She shook her head. "The guards' shift patterns. Did you notice they changed every 6 hours, but the third shift was always 1 guard short?" Her eyes widened slightly. She nodded. "And, the ventilation system. You knew which ducts connected to the waste recyclers because you could smell the difference, right? That's how you found food." "How did you—" "Because I read the station logs," Marcus said. "Someone kept triggering motion sensors in sections that should have been empty. Someone rerouted 3% of the food synthesizer's output through a maintenance override that shouldn't have been possible for anyone without command codes to access. And someone, somehow, survived 3 months in an environment that would have killed a trained adult in 3 weeks." The girl's fingers tightened on the doll. "You're not broken," Marcus said softly. "You're brilliant, and I think your father knew that. I think that's why he threw you away." The shuttle engines hummed to life. Through the viewport, the Zeleth station rotated slowly, its spires gleaming in the light of twin suns. Somewhere in there, an Exarch was celebrating the daughter he'd chosen to keep, the one who fit his vision of perfection. The girl watched the station shrink into the distance. When she spoke again, her voice was different, harder. "My name is Cassira. He took that from me, too, when he declared me Krevner."
"But it's still mine."
"Cassira," Marcus repeated. "It's a good name. It means star that guides," she said. Then, so quietly he almost missed it, "What if I am broken?" Marcus smiled. Then we'll find out what you're really meant to be. Together. The shuttle jumped to faster than light, and the Zealoth station vanished behind them. Neither of them knew that in 7 days, everything would change. That a xenoanthropologist named Dr. Sarah Okonkwo would run a routine genetic scan and drop her datapad in shock. That the readings would be impossible, unprecedented, terrifying in their implications. That Kassira wasn't broken at all. She was evolving. Research Station Meridian hung in the darkness between stars like a jeweled web, its rings rotating slowly to generate gravity for the 5,000 humans and allied species who called it home. Marcus guided Kassira through the docking bay, watching her take in everything with those sharp golden eyes. She flinched at loud sounds but missed nothing. When a maintenance drone buzzed past, she tracked its movement pattern, her head tilting as if calculating trajectories. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo waited in the medical bay, her dark skin gleaming under the sterile lights. She smiled warmly when they entered, but Marcus caught the concern in her eyes. The preliminary scans from the shuttle had flagged several anomalies. "Hello, Kassira," Sarah said, kneeling to the girl's level. "I'm Dr. Potachet, Okonkwo, but everyone here calls me Sarah. Marcus tells me you're going to stay with us for a while." Kassira's fingers tightened around Marcus's hand. "Will it hurt?" "No, sweetheart. You'll just lie down and let the machine take some pictures. Like looking at you, but very carefully." Sarah's voice was gentle, practiced. She'd worked with traumatized children before, human and otherwise. The scanner hummed to life, green light washing over Kassira's small form. Marcus watched the data stream across Sarah's display. Medical jargon he barely understood flowing past in columns of text and imagery. But he understood Sarah's expression. He'd seen her surprised before, seen her excited, even seen her angry. He'd never seen her afraid. "Marcus," she said quietly, "take her to the observation deck. Show her the gardens. I need to run this again." "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Maybe. I don't know yet." Sarah forced brightness into her voice. "Kassira, you did perfectly. Go with Captain Chen. I'll come find you in a little bit, okay?" The observation deck stretched along Meridian's outer ring, floor-to-ceiling viewports showing the cosmos in all its terrible beauty. Kassira pressed her face against the glass, her reflection ghostly in the starlight. Marcus stood beside her, giving her space to process. "There are so many," she whispered. "Stars? Billions. Trillions, if you count the galaxies we can't see. No. I mean, yes, stars. But I meant people." She pointed to the gardens below, where dozens of species mingled among earth plants and alien flora. They're all different, but they're together. Marcus felt something tight in his chest, loosen slightly. "That's what we do here. We study how different species can work together, learn from each other. Your people, the Zealoth, they're brilliant engineers, but they've been isolated for so long they've forgotten how to collaborate. Because they think they're perfect," Kassira said. "Father used to say that our genetics were pure, that mixing with lesser species would weaken the bloodline." She paused. "He said that's why I was born wrong. Because my mother had human friends. He said their presence corrupted her, and I was the result."
Marcus's hands became fists. He forced them to relax.
"Your father is a fool." Sarah's voice crackled over the intercom. "Marcus, bring Kassira back to medical. Now." The urgency in her tone sent ice through his veins. They ran. Sarah had 3 holographic displays active when they arrived, each showing different aspects of Kassira's genetic code. Dr. James Morrison, the station's head geneticist, stood beside her, his face pale. "Tell me I'm reading this wrong," Sarah said without preamble. James shook his head. "You're not. I've checked it 4 times. Run it through every database we have access to. Someone want to explain what's happening?" Marcus positioned himself between the doctors and Kassira, instinct making him protective. Sarah turned, and her expression was complex, layered with wonder and fear, and something that might have been hope. Kassira's secondary eyes aren't sealed because of a genetic defect. They're sealed because they're still developing. "Marcus, she's not broken. She's transforming." "I don't understand." "The Zealoth have 2 sets of eyes," James explained, his words tumbling out rapid fire. "The primary eyes see in the visible spectrum, like human eyes. The secondary eyes, the ones that open during adolescence, see in ultraviolet and infrared. They're the marker of adulthood in Zealoth culture, the sign that someone is ready for full society." "But Kassira's secondary eyes show a completely different structure," Sarah continued. "They're developing neural pathways we've never seen before." Additional rods and cones, photoreceptor cells that don't match anything in the xenobiology database. And that's not all. She pulled up another display. Her brain is showing increased activity in regions that control spatial reasoning, pattern recognition, and something we can't even classify. James thinks it might be a form of limited precognition. Kassira made a small sound. Everyone turned to her. I see things sometimes, she said quietly. Not with my eyes. In my mind, where people will move before they move. What they'll say before they say it. I thought everyone could do that. Marcus knelt beside her. How long has this been happening? Always. But it got stronger when I was in the lower decks. I had to know where the guards would be. Had to know when the recyclers would activate. If I didn't know, I would die.
She looked at Sarah.
Am I sick? No, honey.
You're anything but sick.
Sarah's voice cracked slightly. Kassira, we think you're the first of a new stage in Zealoth evolution. Your father didn't abandon a broken child. He abandoned the future of his entire species. The words hung in the air like a detonation. James pulled up a final display, this one showing a comparison between Kassira's DNA and standard Zealoth genetic profiles. The Zealoth have been so focused on genetic purity that they've stagnated. No variation, no evolution. They're essentially identical to their ancestors from 10,000 years ago, but Kassira shows markers of adaptive evolution. Her genome is responding to environmental pressures, optimizing itself. Her mother's exposure to other species, Marcus said slowly, pieces clicking together. You think that triggered something? We think it unlocked something that was always there, Sarah corrected. The potential for the Zealoth to evolve beyond their current form. But the culture became so rigid, so obsessed with purity, that any variation was culled from the gene pool. Anyone who showed different traits was labeled Crevenor and eliminated. Hesira's voice was very small. Will my father try to kill me if he finds out? The adults exchanged glances. We won't let that happen, Marcus said firmly. But you should know something else, James added carefully. Those neural pathways we mentioned, they're still developing. Based on the scans, we estimate Kassira's cognitive abilities will increase exponentially over the next several years. Her intelligence is already testing at genius level for her age. By the time she's an adult, she might be the most intelligent being in known space. And her secondary eyes? Marcus asked. When they open, and they will open, she'll see the universe in ways we can barely imagine. Wavelengths beyond anything currently known. She might be able to see gravitational fields, quantum fluctuations, things we need instruments to detect. Sarah's expression was odd. Marcus, if other Zealoth children have this same potential, if we can identify them before they're cold, we could change everything, Marcus finished. But Kassira had stopped listening. She stared at her hands, at her 6 fingers, at the gray skin her father had called cursed. I'm not useless, she whispered. You never were, Marcus said. The medical bay's lights flickered. A proximity alarm screamed to life. Sarah's datapad chimed with an urgent message, and the color drained from her face. What? Marcus demanded. Zealoth warship just dropped out of FTL at the system's edge, she said. They're hailing us. They're asking for Exarch Velthonis' daughter. She looked at Kassira. They're asking for her by name. Marcus felt the world shift beneath his feet. How do they know she's here? James was already at the console, fingers flying across the controls. Someone tagged our medical scans. There's a subroutine buried in our system that automatically reports any Zealoth genetic profiles to the homeworld. His face went rigid. It's been here for years. We never knew. The intercom crackled. All personnel, this is Commander Phillips. We have a situation. Captain Chen, report to the bridge immediately. Marcus looked at Kassira. The girl who'd survived 3 months alone in hell. The girl who might be the future of an entire species. The girl who was staring at him with absolute trust. I'm not leaving her. Then bring her, Sarah said. 'Cause whatever happens next, she needs to be part of it. This is her life. Her choice. They ran. The bridge of Research Station Meridian was chaos. Commander Phillips, a severe woman with iron-gray hair, stood at the central console, her face illuminated by tactical displays. The Zealoth warship dominated the main view screen, sleek and predatory. Captain Chen, Phillips said without looking up. Perfect timing. They're demanding we surrender Kassira Velthonis immediately. They claim she's stolen property of the Exarch. Property, Marcus growled. She's a child. I'm aware. I've told them to get bent, but they're charging weapons. We're a research station. We have defensive shields, but against a warship? She finally turned, saw Kassira, and her expression softened fractionally. Hello, sweetheart. Kassira said nothing. Her golden eyes were fixed on the view screen, on the ship that had come for her. How long until they're in firing range? Marcus asked. 18 minutes, but they won't fire immediately. They want her alive. Phillips's jaw tightened. The Exarch himself is on that ship. He's personally come to retrieve his daughter. Why? Sarah had followed them to the bridge, James close behind. Why now? He abandoned her. Declared her Krevener. She should be dead to him. Because someone told him what she is, James said quietly. That medical scan didn't just tag our system. It sent a full genetic profile back to Zeleth homeworld. They know she's evolving. They know what that means. Marcus understood with sudden, horrible clarity. They're going to study her, weaponize whatever makes her different. Or kill her, Philip said bluntly. Can't have the foundation of your genetic purity doctrine walking around contradicting everything you've built your society on. The comm system activated. A face appeared on screen, regal and cold. Exarch Velthonis looked exactly like Kassira would in 40 years if cruelty and ambition had carved away everything gentle. His crest was pure silver, marking him as high nobility. His 4 eyes, all open, gleamed with intelligence and absolute certainty. Research Station Meridian, he said, his translator rendering his words in perfect English. I am Exarch Velthonis of the Third Fleet. You are harboring my property. Return her immediately, and I will consider this matter resolved. Philip stepped forward. Exarch, this is Commander Phillips. The individual you're referring to is a sentient being under the protection of human law. We will not surrender her to anyone against her will. Her will is irrelevant. She is Krevenor, broken. She has no rights under Zeleth law. Velthonis' eyes narrowed. Though I am curious how she survived. The lower decks should have killed her within days. Marcus felt Kassira's hand slip into his. She was trembling, but when he looked down, her face was set with determination. Father, she said clearly. The word stopped everyone. Velthonis' crest flared in surprise. You speak, he said. The Krevenor speaks. Fascinating. The human contamination has had unexpected effects. I am not contaminated, Kassira said. Her voice was stronger now. I am evolving. Dr. Okonkwo says I'm becoming something new. Something your people need. Velthonis laughed, a sound like breaking crystal. My people need purity, strength, not mutants. But Marcus caught something in his eyes. Fear. The Exarch was afraid. You knew, Marcus said suddenly. That's why you abandoned her. Not because she was broken, but because you knew she was different. You knew she'd challenge everything the Zeleth believe about genetic purity. I knew she was a threat, Velthonis corrected, an aberration that would undermine millennia of careful genetic cultivation. But I was merciful. I gave her a chance to die with dignity rather than face formal execution. His crest darkened. I see that was a mistake. Return her now, humans, or I will take her by force. You'll have to destroy this station to get to her, Philip said, if necessary. Velthonis' tone was casual. Your government will protest, of course. There will be diplomatic incidents, sanctions perhaps. But ultimately, you will do nothing. Because humanity needs Zeleth technology more than you need one research station. He was right. Marcus knew it. Everyone on the bridge knew it. The Zeleth controlled the most advanced, faster-than-light engines in known space. Their medical technology was centuries ahead of human development. A war with the Zeleth would be devastating. But Kassira stepped forward, pulling her hand from Marcus's grip. She stood before the view screen, small and gray and absolutely unafraid. I challenge you, she said. The bridge went silent. Velthonis stared at her. What did you say? I challenge you, for leadership of our house. Ancient right, granted to any blood heir who questions the Exarch's wisdom. Her voice didn't waver. You taught me that law yourself, Father, when I was small, before you decided I was worthless. You are Krevenor. You have no standing to challenge. The law doesn't specify that challengers must be genetically perfect, Kassira said. Only that they must be blood, and I am your daughter, whether you want me or not. Velthonis' crest flared crimson. Even if I accepted, which I will not, the challenge requires single combat. You're a child. I would kill you in seconds. Then you lose nothing by accepting? You kill me legally in front of witnesses, and the matter is resolved. No diplomatic incidents. No complications. Kassira's smile was terrible. Unless you're afraid? Marcus grabbed her shoulder. Kassira, no. You can't. He'll kill everyone on this station to get to me, she said softly, not taking her eyes off her father. You know he will. This is the only way. She's right, James whispered. Under Zelith law, personal challenges supersede everything else. If Veltonus refuses, he's violating his own culture's most sacred traditions. On screen, Veltonus's expression was unreadable. Finally, he spoke. Very well. I accept your challenge, daughter. We will meet in neutral territory in an hour. Bring witnesses. I will show the humans what happens to aberrations who forget their place. The screen went dark. Phillips turned to Kassira. Do you have any idea how to fight? No, Kassira said. But I don't need to win. I just need to not die immediately. What are you planning? Marcus demanded. Kassira's secondary eyes, still sealed, seemed to pulse with inner light. I'm going to show them what I really am, and hope it's enough. The cargo bay had been converted into a makeshift arena. Neutral territory, as the Zelith law required, meaning neither ship's interior. The station's docking section would serve. Velthonus arrived with an honor guard of 12, their armor gleaming like insect carapaces. Kassira stood alone in the center of the bay, small and fragile. Marcus stood with the human witnesses, Sarah and James beside him. Phillips had argued to be included, but ultimately sent her second instead. Someone needed to be ready to evacuate the station if this went wrong. Velthonus stripped off his ceremonial robes, revealing the fighter's physique beneath. Scars crisscrossed his torso, marks of previous challenges. He was a warrior, trained from birth, enhanced with the finest genetic modifications his house could afford. Kassira wore the simple gray jumpsuit the station had given her. She looked like exactly what she was, a terrified 8-year-old girl. This is murder, Marcus hissed. This is law, the Zelith Honor Guard's captain replied. Be silent, human, or be removed. Velthonus drew a blade, ceremonial but wickedly sharp. Kassira was unarmed. Under challenge law, the Exarch could choose weapons. He'd chosen blades. Against a child. Last chance to withdraw, Velthonus said. I will make it quick. Kassira shook her head. I won't withdraw. Then prepare yourself. Velthonus moved like lightning. Marcus had seen Zelith fight before, but this was different. This was art, deadly and precise. The blade swept toward Kassira's throat. She wasn't there. The girl had moved before Velthoni struck, her body shifting left in a motion that seemed almost prescient. The blade cut air. Velthonus recovered instantly, spinning into a low strike. Again, Kassira moved first, dancing back. Interesting, Velthonus said. You can predict my attacks. Limited precognition. I'd heard rumors the aberration might manifest such abilities, but seeing it confirmed is enlightening. He struck again, faster this time. Kassira dodged, but barely. A thin line of blue blood appeared on her arm. She didn't cry out. But prediction only helps if you're fast enough to respond, Velthonus continued. And you're not.
You're a child.
Weak. Slow. He pressed the attack, blade flashing. Kassira retreated, dodging, weaving, but each strike came closer. Did you really think this would end differently? No, Kassira gasped. She was tiring, Marcus could see it. Her movements were becoming sluggish. I thought you'd do exactly this. Velthonus drove the blade forward, aiming for her heart. Kassira's secondary eyes opened. The light that poured from them was like nothing Marcus had ever seen. It wasn't bright, exactly. It was dimensional, layered, showing wavelengths that shouldn't have been visible to human eyes but somehow were. The cargo bay transformed. Marcus could see thermal patterns, energy fields, the electromagnetic signatures of every being present. It was overwhelming, beautiful, terrifying. And Kassira saw so much more. She moved, not dodging now but flowing, her body shifting through space like water. Veltonus's blade passed through where she'd been, and she was beside him, her small hand touching his wrist. Just touching. But the Exarch jerked back as if burned. I see you, father, Kassira said. Her voice echoed strangely, harmonics that shouldn't have been possible from a single throat. I see the energy flowing through your muscles. I see the electrical impulses firing in your brain. I see the moment you decide to move before you move. I see everything. Velthonis attacked again, abandoning technique for raw speed. It didn't matter. Cassira was already moving, her precognition enhanced 1,000-fold by her newly opened eyes. She could see probability itself, the branching paths of the future cascading before her. "I see why you were afraid," she continued, still flowing around his strikes. "You knew this could happen. The old texts, the ones you had destroyed, they spoke of the zealous evolutionary destiny, the next stage, the ones who would see beyond sight, know beyond knowing. You knew if even one of us survived, everything would change." "Abomination!" Velthonis roared, but there was panic in his voice now. "No, evolution." Cassira stopped moving. She stood perfectly still as Velthonis drove his blade toward her chest. At the last instant, she shifted fractionally, and the blade passed beside her ribs, touching nothing. Her hand came up lightning quick and pressed against her father's forehead. "I see your future, father. I see you old and forgotten, watching as more children like me are born. I see the zealot transformed, elevated, becoming something beyond your limited vision. I see you dying alone, knowing you tried to kill the very thing that could have saved your species." Velthonis stumbled back, his 4 eyes wide with terror. "What are you?" "Your daughter," Cassira said simply. "And your queen." The honor guard moved, weapons rising, but their captain held up a hand. "The challenge is not concluded. We cannot interfere." Velthonis was breathing hard, his crest flickering between colors. Fear, rage, confusion. He looked at Cassira, really looked at her, and Marcus saw the moment something in him broke. "You were supposed to die," he whispered. "The lower decks, the starvation, the guards I ordered to ignore you, you were supposed to die." "I know," Cassira said, "but I didn't, and now there's a choice. You can kill me and prove to everyone watching that the Zealoth would rather destroy their own evolution than face change. Or you can yield, accept that I am what I am, and help me find the others like me. The children you've been culling for generations. Help me save them. And if I refuse," Cassira's expression was infinitely sad, "then I will take your blade and I will kill you. Because I can see exactly how to do it. I can see the weak points in your armor, the rhythm of your heart, the precise angle to strike. My precognition isn't limited anymore, Father. I see everything. And if I must kill you to protect the children you would murder, I will." The cargo bay was absolutely silent. Velthonis stood frozen, blade trembling in his hand. Marcus watched emotions war across the Exarch's face. Pride, fear, rage, and finally, something that might have been awe. The blade clattered to the floor. "I yield," Velthonis said hoarsely. "The challenge is ended. The daughter has proven herself." He fell to one knee, head bowed. "Long live the queen." The honor guard hesitated, then, as one, they knelt. Cassira swayed, her secondary eyes beginning to close. Marcus rushed forward, catching her before she fell. Up close, he could see the strain the transformation had caused. Her skin was pale, her breathing shallow. "Did I do it right?" she whispered. "You did it perfectly," Marcus said, his voice thick. Sarah was there instantly, scanner in hand. Her neural pathways are overloaded. The strain of opening her secondary eyes prematurely and using that level of precognition at her age, she needs immediate medical attention. They rushed her back to the medical bay, Velthonis and his honor guard following at a distance. The Exarch looked diminished somehow, smaller, as if yielding had taken something essential from him. In the medical bay, as Sarah worked to stabilize Cassira, Velthonis approached Marcus. "I need to speak with her."
When she wakes.
"You've done enough," Marcus said coldly. "I have, and I cannot undo it." Velthonis's voice was hollow, but she was right. There are others. Children born with sealed secondary eyes marked as Krevenor, scattered across Zealous space. If what your doctors say is true, if they all carry this potential... He looked at his hands. "I have murdered the future of my people. Repeatedly. For years." "Yes," Marcus said flatly. "You have. Let me help fix it. Please." It was the first time Marcus had heard a Zealoth noble say that word. "Please. I have access to genetic registries, medical records. I can find them. I can bring them here, to safety, before others like me realize what they are and act to eliminate them." James had been listening. He's right. If the Zealoth establishment learns what Cassira is, they'll start a purge. We need to move fast. Sarah emerged from the medical suite. She's stable, sleeping. She'll wake in a few hours. She looked at Velthonis with pure contempt. You can see her then. If she wants to see you. But when Cassira woke, She asked for her father immediately. Marcus stood guard as Velthonis entered her room, the mighty Exarch looking utterly lost. "Cassira," he began, but she held up a hand. "I saw your future, father. But I also saw your past. I saw you as a child, marked for leadership, forced into genetic modifications that hurt. I saw you shaped by a culture that prizes strength over compassion. I saw you become what they made you." Her secondary eyes were closed again, resting, but her primary eyes held wisdom beyond her years. "I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I understand you. I don't deserve understanding. But the children who will die if we don't act deserve to live. So we work together. Not as father and daughter, as allies. When we've saved them all, every Krevenor child in Zeleth space, then we can talk about forgiveness." Velthonis bowed his head. "As you command, my queen. Don't call me that. I'm not a queen. I'm just Cassira." She paused. "The star that guides." Over the following weeks, Research Station Meridian became a sanctuary. Velthonis used his authority to locate children marked as Krevenor, extracting them under various pretexts. Some came from waste reclamation sectors like Cassira, others from medical facilities where they'd been scheduled for termination. Each arrived broken, terrified, convinced they were worthless, and each one carried the potential for transformation. Sarah and James worked around the clock, documenting the children's abilities as their secondary eyes began to open under safe conditions. Some saw quantum fluctuations. Others perceived time slightly ahead of the present. One boy could see gravitational fields mapping space-time curvature with his eyes alone. Another girl sensed emotional states as colored auras, reading intent and deception perfectly. Cassira worked with each child personally, helping them understand their abilities, showing them they weren't broken. She was patient, kind, drawing on her own experience to guide them. Marcus watched her grow into her role, not as a queen, but as something better, a teacher, a protector, a hope. The political situation was delicate. The Zeleth government officially knew nothing of what was happening on Meridian. Velthonis maintained his position, playing the role of dutiful exarch while secretly funneling resources and information to the sanctuary. But rumors were spreading. Questions were being asked. It was only a matter of time before someone came looking for answers. Commander Phillips called Marcus to her office 6 weeks after Cassira's arrival. "We have a problem. The Zeleth High Council is sending an investigative team. They want to know why Velthonis has been requisitioning medical supplies and making unauthorized visits to a human research station." "How long do we have?"
3 days.
"Maybe 4. Phillips leaned back in her chair. "We have 47 Zeleth children here now. We can't hide them, and we can't fight off a High Council fleet." Marcus found Cassira in the observation deck, surrounded by younger children. She was teaching them to meditate, to control the flow of information their enhanced senses provided. When she saw Marcus's expression, she dismissed the others gently. "They're coming, aren't they?" she said. "Yes. The High Council." "Good." Her secondary eyes opened slightly, just enough to show swirls of impossible color. "I've been waiting for this. Cassira, they'll take you. Take all of you. They'll see you as threats. They'll see us as we are, the future." She smiled, and it was fierce. "I've been practicing, Marcus. Pushing my abilities further. I can see probabilities now, whole decision trees branching into infinity. I've seen 1,000 ways this meeting could go. Most of them end badly. But there's one path, just one, where we change everything.
What path?
The one where I show them exactly what they've been throwing away. The High Council arrived in a fleet of 12 ships, more firepower than necessary for a simple investigation. Their delegation was led by Matriarch Sevillana, ancient and powerful, her crest pure platinum with age. She brought with her a geneticist, a military commander, and 3 honor guards. They expected to find a handful of defective children hidden in shame. They found a revolution. Cassira met them in the main assembly hall, which had been converted into a demonstration theater. The 47 children stood with her, arranged not as victims but as students presenting their work. Each wore simple clothes, human-style jumpsuits in various colors, each held their heads high, and each had their secondary eyes open. The light in the room became prismatic, layered, as 47 pairs of evolved eyes perceived reality in ways the High Council couldn't imagine. Matriarch Sevillana stopped dead, her 4 eyes wide. "What is this?" she breathed. "This is the future you've been destroying," Cassira said. She stood at the front, flanked by Marcus on one side and Velthonis on the other. "I am Cassira Velthonis, marked as Crevenor and left to die by my father. These children share my fate. All of us were deemed broken, genetic mistakes to be culled. But we're not broken, matriarch. We're evolving. The geneticist stepped forward, scanner in hand. Impossible. Zelith genetics have been stable for millennia. Evolution requires environmental pressure, variation in the gene pool, which you've systematically eliminated, James interjected. He stood with Sarah at a display showing genetic comparisons. Your culture's obsession with purity has created a genetic bottleneck, but evolution doesn't stop. It finds a way. These children are proof. Show them, Kassira said softly. The children moved in unison, a choreographed demonstration of their abilities. The boy who saw gravitational fields created a holographic map of the station's mass distribution, showing structural weak points that engineering scans had missed. The girl who sensed emotions identified a spy in the matriarch's delegation within seconds, pointing directly at one of the honor guards. The guard's crest flared in panic, confirming the accusation. A pair of twins who could perceive quantum probability solved a mathematical proof that had stumped the station's computers for months, simply by seeing the solution's shape in quantum foam. Another child, barely 6 years old, used her ability to see electromagnetic fields to repair a communications array that had been malfunctioning for weeks, identifying the damaged component by sight alone. And Kassira, standing at the center, orchestrated it all. Her precognition had mapped every moment of the demonstration, ensuring each child's abilities complemented the others. It was beautiful, terrifying, undeniable. Matriarch Sevlana watched in silence. When the demonstration ended, she turned to her geneticist. Verify this, now. The geneticist spent an hour scanning the children, running tests, comparing genetic profiles. When he finished, his hands were shaking. It's real, all of it. Their genetic markers show adaptive evolution in progress. The secondary eyes are restructuring, developing capabilities beyond standard Zelith biology. And matriarch, he paused, struggling with the implications. If these traits are heritable, if even a fraction of our population carries the potential, we've been committing genocide against our own evolution, Sevlana finished. For how long? Generations, Veltana said heavily. The records I've uncovered suggest it began 3,000 years ago, when the purity doctrines were first codified. Any child born with sealed secondary eyes was eliminated. We didn't know what we were destroying. The matriarch closed her primary eyes, exhausted. How many have we lost? Thousands. Tens of thousands, perhaps. Velthonis's voice was hollow. I alone have ordered the deaths of 17 children over my tenure as Exarch. 17 futures erased because I was too blind to see what they were. And now? Sevlana opened her eyes, looking directly at Kassira. What happens now, child? Kassira's secondary eyes swirled with thought. Now you choose. You can see us as threats and try to destroy us. Some of your council will suggest this. I've seen that probability. Or you can accept that we're the next stage of Zelith evolution and help us find the others. There are more children out there, hidden, dying. We need to save them.
And then we change everything. We end the purity doctrines.
We open Zelith society to variation, to evolution. We become what we were always meant to be. Kassira stepped forward. We become stronger through diversity, not purity. We learn from other species instead of isolating ourselves. We grow. You're asking us to dismantle the foundation of our civilization. I'm asking you to build something better. Kassira's voice was gentle but unyielding. The old civilization was killing your children, matriarch. It was killing your future. That's not a foundation worth preserving. Sevlana looked at the 47 children, at their impossible eyes, at the potential blazing in each small face. She looked at Velthonis, who had traveled from Exarch to ally of the very children he'd once condemned. She looked at the humans who had sheltered what her people had discarded, and she knelt. The honor guards gasped. The geneticist froze. But Sevlana, matriarch of the High Council, knelt before an 8-year-old child. Guide us, she said simply. Show us the path forward. Kassira reached out, her 6-fingered hand resting on the matriarch's silver crest. Together, humans and Zelith. Old and new. We do this together or not at all. Marcus felt tears on his face. He wasn't alone.
Sarah was crying.
James, even Commander Phillips, watching from the observation deck, wiped her eyes. The matriarch rose. I will return to the High Council. I will present your case. Many will resist, but with proof of what you are, what you can do, she paused. How did you know I would listen? That I wouldn't simply try to destroy all of you? Kassira smiled. I saw it. In the probabilities, you lost a grandchild to the purity cullings. A girl born with sealed eyes, terminated before she could speak. You've carried that grief for 40 years. Sevlana's breath caught. How could you... I see everything, matriarch. Every choice, every consequence. I saw your grief and knew it would make you strong enough to choose change over tradition. Kassira's secondary eyes closed gently. She would have been like me, your granddaughter. I have been the quantum realm, map probabilities like I do. She would have been magnificent, the matriarch bowed her head. Yes, she would have. Then let's make sure no more grandchildren are lost. No more children die for being different. Kassira turned to address everyone in the hall. This is our purpose. All of us, human and zealot, old and new. We find the children, we save them, we teach them, and we build a future where being different isn't a death sentence. The room erupted in affirmation. Humans and zealot together, united in purpose for perhaps the first time in history. Marcus knelt beside Kassira as the celebration continued around them. You did it, he said softly. You changed everything. We did it, she corrected. You saved me first, Marcus. You saw value where everyone else saw waste. You gave me the chance to become what I am. Her small hand found his. Thank you for not giving up on me. Never, Marcus promised. Not ever. Across the room, Velthanis stood alone, watching his daughter shine. Sarah approached him, her expression complicated. She'll never fully forgive you, Sarah said. You know that, right? I know, Velthanis' voice was quiet. But perhaps in time I can become someone worthy of forgiveness, someone who helps build instead of destroy. Perhaps, Sarah agreed. Then, softer, she has your determination, you know, your strength. Those weren't all learned traits. Then maybe something good came from our bloodline after all. Velthanis watched as Kassira laughed at something one of the other children said, her secondary eyes sparkling with joy. She is everything I could have been if I'd been brave enough to question what I was taught. Instead, she had to be brave for both of us. In the weeks that followed, the transformation began. The matriarch presented Kassira's case to the High Council, bringing genetic scans and recorded demonstrations. The vote was contentious, but it passed. The purity doctrines were officially revised. Children born with sealed secondary eyes would no longer be culled, but protected, studied, nurtured. Research Station Meridian became the Zealoth Evolution Institute, a joint human zealoth facility dedicated to identifying and supporting evolved children. Kassira remained at its heart, the girl who had gone from abandoned daughter to the catalyst for species-wide change. Marcus watched her work with new arrivals, each scared child welcomed with understanding and hope. She'd grown in the months since her arrival, not just in skill but in confidence. The girl who'd flinched at shadows now walked with quiet authority, her secondary eyes open and alert, seeing futures and choosing the best path forward. One night, unable to sleep, he found her in the observation deck again, staring at the stars. Can't sleep? He asked, sitting beside her. Too many possibilities, she said. I see all the ways tomorrow could go. It's overwhelming sometimes. Do you regret it? The transformation? The responsibility? Kassira considered the question seriously. No. Because I see what we're building. In 5 years, there will be 300 evolved children in the Institute. In 10 years, the first generation will reach adulthood, and they'll revolutionize everything from faster-than-light travel to medical technology. In 20 years, human and zealoth scientists will crack the equations for trans-dimensional travel because evolved zealoth can see the dimensions directly. She smiled. I see a future where species don't just coexist but thrive together, learning from each other, growing stronger through cooperation. And your father? I see him too. Spending his life finding the children he once condemned, bringing them to safety. He'll save 243 children personally before he dies. It won't erase what he did, but it will matter. It will help. She looked at Marcus. I see you too. Training the next generation of human zealot liaison officers. Building bridges that will last centuries. Marcus felt his throat tighten. You see all of this? You're certain? No. I see probabilities, not certainties. Any of it could change based on the choices we make. Her secondary eyes met his. But I've learned to see which probabilities are strongest, which futures have the most weight. And the ones where we succeed, where we build something beautiful together, those are the brightest paths. Those are the ones worth fighting for. They sat in comfortable silence, human and zealot, captain and queen who refused the title, looking at stars that suddenly seemed closer, more reachable, full of infinite possibility. Behind them, the Institute hummed with life. Children learning to see beyond sight, think beyond thought, become beyond becoming. And at the heart of it all, a girl who'd been thrown away as useless, who'd survived through brilliance and determination, who'd challenged her father and changed her species, Cassira Valtonis. Not broken, not cursed, not useless. Evolution incarnate, the star that guides,